I wanted to do a quick follow-up video on how to fix a few issues that are left over after my initial merging video between the weapon component system and the advanced locomotion system. So go ahead and open up the project. You should have already completed all the steps up to this point that were in the previous video. So you have a character that is able to run around, holds a weapon, but you may notice there's a few glitches here and there that need to be corrected. So once your project opens, just as a review, when you hit play, you'll notice the feet kind of move around a little bit oddly as you're moving. You'll also notice at the lower left there, it says no weapon for the HUD. And that's something that I missed the setting for the HUD part. And then we'll do a tweak so that it doesn't, because there's actually conflicting for the leg movement. So we'll just do a quick couple of fixes here. And I think that will help you to have the character feel a lot better as they're moving around. So first, there's one thing we need to do. If you're actually going to test the weapon colliding and hitting, for instance, this sample character over here, you will need to set up the collision in the project settings. So go ahead and open up project settings, go to collision, and then object collision. You need to have a new object channel created here called projectile. Leave it as the default responses block, hit accept there. And that is required by the weapon component system to actually handle collision of the projectile with objects. So that'll fix that issue. Now let's go through and actually take a look at the HUD of why the player character isn't seeing the weapon that's up on the screen, that's supposed to be up on the screen. So go ahead and go into your Advanced Locomotion V3, open up your ALS base character, and then on the left, you'll see interfaces. One that I didn't get to because it's minimized here, hit the drop down next to called from care weapons component. You see here where it says CWC get HUD. Go ahead and double click that. And you'll see here, that is out of all these interface calls here, that was the only one I didn't fill in. So on the lower left, we have the HUD reference. So drag that up here, hit get, and then just connect this to the HUD reference. So let's go ahead and do a quick play test here. All right, so now you will see that on the lower left, it shows we're holding a pistol, shows the correct amount of ammo that's left in there. So that fixes that issue. I know some people are concerned about that. Now, another thing is the feet. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at these feet and see if we can straighten those out. We will need to be in the AnimBP for the character. So mannequin underscore AnimBP under Advanced Locomotion V3, and then mannequin, or characters, and then mannequin. Double click the mannequin AnimBP. And I'm here immediately, but let's zoom out so you can see where we're working from. So here should be the event graph overall. Zoom in towards the middle and you will see a comment of speed and direction. Now, let's just do a quick run through of why this is not working correctly. So it is getting the character and speed and then setting that variable for speed and direction. And it is using this throughout the blueprints here to kind of set how the character is supposed to move. Now, let's do a quick right click on speed and hit find references. You'll notice that set speed is actually being done a couple places. This one is the one that you're seeing right now is from weapon component. If you look under do every frame while grounded, you'll notice that speed is being set here as well. So that's actually every time the other one was being set, it would then be unset because every frame the speed is being set by the locomotion system. So that is an issue that that we just don't need these. These are not important. So what you could do is just from the branch that is coming from, drag from false, drag it over sequence, and then if you want to, clean it up a little bit so it's not crossing over other things. I mean, you can do whatever you'd like to make this look how you want it. And if you want, you could actually break that. It'll never call this. If you want to delete that, you're more than welcome to as well, just for cleanup. So now let's go ahead and compile and save this. Hit play. All right, so now you'll notice that your feet don't do that weird glitching movement anymore. They're staying consistent no matter which direction I move. Everything feels fairly normal here, showing the correct things in the lower left. So far, that is a lot better. Now, one thing that bugs me, let's take a look at the screen. One thing I do not like is that he is standing in a neutral position. He's got his hips square, not standing how you would generally hold a gun when you're playing, or holding a weapon, or usually when you're playing a game, it stands. And so there's a variable called isAiming in the Locomotion system. And what that does, let's go ahead and manually call that really quick. So select your ALS base character, go to state values, and then you'll see a variable here called ALS aiming. Go ahead and check that. Compile, and then let's do a quick play here. I mean, the stance is still not quite right. You'll have to do some tweaking after this just to get it to where he's fully doing that. But you notice he's standing in more of an aiming position here. Now, if I were to holster the weapon, he stays in this position. You may want that. Perhaps you want the shoulders to be square. So if you want him to be like that all the time, you can ignore the following steps I'm going to do and leave that box checked, and he will always stand in this position regardless of holding a weapon or not. But for now, I'm going to uncheck that box. And I'm going to take you through the steps of detecting, actually not detecting, but setting whether or not the character should be standing in that position when they're holding a weapon. So let's go ahead and open up I want to go to the character weapons. So on the left under content, then go to filter, and then type AC underscore character. If you start typing it, you'll see this is the only one left. There is the component that you'll want to open. And here is the event graph. So in here, there is an event that gets called every time you try to update the HUD with the weapon that you're using. So this is being called, and you'll notice every time you pick up a weapon, the information is updating in the lower left. And so that is how we want this to actually be. This is a perfect place to do it. You could do this on an event tick, but it's going to be checking whether or not the weapon exists and just doing a lot of things that you don't necessarily need to be doing every single tick, and that will cause delay. Here, we're going to set it up so it only sets that variable when you're interacting and doing a specific thing with weapons. So first, we want to, if you look to the left here, you've got your character reference. Let's make a copy of that because we're going to use that again over here. So go ahead and copy and paste. And all I did was hit Control-C. You can right-click and hit copy. Right-click, or then hit Control-V to paste. And so we have a character reference here. And then what we want to do is drag off of that and hit Cast to ALS. And you'll see Cast ALS base character. For the first one, we're going to do it off the top here. So connect update HUD weapon data to that cast. And then from the as ALS base character, drag up, and we are going to set ALS aiming. Now, do it under event. So let's do set ALS aiming event and check that box to true. So now, when you're holding a weapon, because here it's saying, is the current weapon that we're holding, is that valid? If it is, that means you're holding a weapon. If it isn't, that means you have dropped your weapon or de-equipped your weapon and you don't have one. So we need to, whenever this other one is called, whenever we de-equip a weapon, we need to call the same thing. So what you can do is highlight these, the cast and the set, Control C or right click and copy, and then Control V. And we're going to cast the same thing right here. And make sure you connect the character reference down to object. And then you'll uncheck the ALS aiming box. So now it'll set it when you're holding a weapon. It'll deset it. Only calls those whenever this is updated, which is not on a tick. So that should be the most efficient way to do it. So let's go and compile, save this, hit play. See, it's equipping a weapon. And so he goes to ALS aiming, which is that stance. Whenever he's holding a weapon, let's holster it. All right, he holstered it, and now he is back to the normal. Let's pick it back up. Drop the weapon. That didn't work right, so let's find where we need to do that. So we have it under holster. But dropping does not work correctly. All right, so I found a little trick that actually will help you because for some reason when you drop it, it is not recognizing that it's dropped. And so what we can do is here's how it's not working. You have it's setting aiming when you have a weapon in your hand. It's not setting aiming when you drop the weapon. So let's go ahead and make a duplicate of this. Set ALS aiming event, make an extra copy, and then make sure you drag as ALS based character over. And then you will want to, if you want to keep this clean, want to connect it over, and for the first one, check ALS aiming. So now we have ALS aiming set there, and then it's being unset immediately. Will pretty much be unnoticeable, but let's go ahead and compile and save and see how it operates. There we go. So now that makes it so that it properly sets back to your neutral stance. You can re-pick up your weapon, pick it up. It'll go to that ready stance, left foot forward, drop the weapon again, and you are good to go. So we now have a character that correctly has the HUD. It's going into the correct stance and holding the pistol. The next thing you could do is there is an error that you'll notice after that last video that I want to correct. It's not messing with this map, but if you go to the demo level map for this ALS V3, double click the multiplayer. You can save the map if you were messing with the single player one. But you'll notice there are missing characters. If you hit play, it says there's unresolved compiler errors. And the reason for this is if you go to the level blueprint, so hit the blueprints above the viewport, and then click Open Level Blueprint, you'll see some errors in here. Now these errors are referencing that we're actually missing some of these characters that we had before. These were those mannequin characters that we removed, or that one blueprint that we removed for the mannequin character. Normally these are characters that are sitting out here on the map. So to fix this, let's go ahead and go to under Content, Advanced Locomotion V3, Blueprints, drag your ALS based character out onto the map 4 times. Because this multiplayer demo has 4 characters. So here we've got 4 of these characters standing here. And what we will do, go ahead and save that. Then we'll go back into that level blueprint, and we're going to drag these characters that are on the map. We're going to drag them. So select one of them. You'll see on the upper right here, it actually shows you those 4 characters. Click on the first one, drag it up to the tab for the level blueprint, and then drop it in here. You'll see it actually creates a reference to that, and then do that for the next 3 characters as well. Okay, so now we have 4 references. And it may give us an error. Let's try dragging this up here. Okay, so it doesn't want to do that. So, but what you can do is we'll recreate this. So drag off of the first one, and then type in select, choose that under utilities. All right, we now have a very similar box. We will want to, so hold down Control and drag from index on the previous one and drag it to the index of this new select box. And then we will want to drag the second character into option 1. So the first one was in option 0, the next one's in option 1. We need to now add 2 more pins. 1 pin, 2 pins. And then drag those remaining characters over. So we now have a box that's very similar. You'll now want to control drag the return value down to the new one that you've made. Delete the old ones. Then you can drag these up to keep them close. Go ahead and hit compile here. And that takes away the error for the multiplayer level. So let's go ahead and open this up. We'll hit play. You can see the 3 other characters. You have connected with the first one. If you wanted to, you could launch and run 2 players. Yeah, that did connect right. So we'll have to do a possess because it's not possessing those other ones correctly. But so on here, you've got your 4 characters. This one is possessing. It should be going down the next one on the list. So let's try this one more time. Let's do this with not in the internal window. Try it one more time. All right. So now it's actually possessing correctly. You can see there's the character over there. There's the character over there. You have a multiplayer demo working here properly. And that should work for your multiplayer map. When you're done with that, if you're not using the multiplayer map for testing, you can go ahead and go back to maps, reopen your single player, but that'll make it so you don't have that error anymore. And you won't have to worry about that. So far, we've got our character, got all the HUD working, got the legs going correctly. And I think that pretty much takes care of most of what we're trying to do here. So I don't know if there's any other suggestions you have. Feel free to leave them in the comments. Anything that we should tweak here to make it maybe work a little bit better. But I think that gets us to a pretty good point of where we want our character to be. You're more than welcome to subscribe to my channel. If you have any questions, go check out the Discord for Advanced Locomotion System. And in there, people are answering questions throughout the day. If you run into any issues, feel free to ask in there as well. But make sure you like, subscribe, and check out future videos. So hopefully I'm going to be doing a few more, and we'll continue this as a series. So thank you very much, and I will talk to you later.